Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. My name is Terry Sacka. I am Chief Strategist. I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance, and I do welcome you with a humble heart. Although I know last week it got a little aggressive. I just felt very much in my spirit that we Christians that didn't vote last time needed to understand.
Not we.
Oh, I voted.
We, maybe.
Yeah, those who didn't, if you
Those
did.
who didn't.
Welcome. We're going to continue an election program, but in this case, last week we just really wanted to, I wanted to outline more than anything. I know it probably made some people uncomfortable, but I wanted to outline, because everything I said was actually factually true. And so, if anything, what I don't understand is, if that stuff's true, where are we? Where are we as a nation that we think that's okay? And so last week, what I wanted to at least outline was the corrupt criminal nature of behavior and the perversion nature of the soul of Mr. Clinton. And that way you can understand at least the character we're walking in if we don't vote. And that's why I guess it's not that I really endorse one, obviously I would never endorse them, but it's just that we don't have a choice. Until we change our system into a form of parliamentary or something, we have one or the other. We have only choices. See, it's not about endorsing a candidate. This one is unacceptable. We have no other choice. And the people that think, Donald Trump's unacceptable, you're not looking through the right lens then. So today what I want to do is get into now showing you what the last 8 years of Democrat policy has done for we the people
Now,
and the middle class.
The key to this program is for people to get protected,
Yes.
and their own finances to be preserved,
Yes.
rather than letting something erode them away. And you've shown us so many times on this program over the years how the system is actually eroding what we have set.
Buying power.
Our buying power, what we've set aside for our ability to retire. I've heard so many stories about people saying they thought they could retire at a certain age, and because the economy, people just don't realize how inflation starts chipping away at what they've set aside to retire on. And if we don't personally get set, and I was looking for the silver coin just as an example, if we don't personally get set in a position where that we protected ourselves. Someone told me years ago, no organization, no government, nobody is going to take care of you like you take care of you. So don't wait for somebody else to try to take care of you. Definitely don't let the government tell you they're going to take care of you. You make sure you get ready. You make sure you protect your finances. Terry, some people might not know that you own Cornerstone Asset Metals, and that you deal with a lot of folks individually because of you want to help them get their finances established so that things in this fake paper market can't destroy, like the stock market, can't destroy their ability to be protected and have preservation in their future. So again, the show has to do with people getting in a position, and listen, there's a lot of people afraid to even talk to somebody about this. You don't have to be afraid to talk to Cornerstone. Terry has said this numerous times. I couldn't count the times he said this on this program. Buy silver, buy gold, buy something tangible to put in your portfolio, and don't buy it on paper. Buy the real thing. Put it in a vault if you need to. Convert your IRAs, your 401ks, but do something so that you're safe in your future. You don't have to buy it from Cornerstone. Buy it somewhere. Well, okay, you want them to. I know that.
No, I'm just having fun with that.
I know you've said this over and over again. Yeah. Buy it somewhere. Just buy it.
And
body of Christ.
I actually think that's probably a mistake, because you know what? Cornerstone is a magnificent company with very, very good people. It's not a perfect world, but man, will we work hard, and we produce the only constitutional, First Amendment protected, 4-9 purity Judeo-Christian silver coin in the country that you can use for your IRA. It's actually hallmarked, LBMA COMEX Shanghai certified. It's a dynamically beautiful coin, and dynamic purity.
There it is behind you.
It's behind us. Dynamic purity. And so God has walked us there. He said, build it, I'll fill it. I'm just here really to help the kingdom understand the imperative of being protected. And a lot of times I've had people call us, and they say, I'd rather have silver in a vault than cash in a bank under these circumstances.
Sure.
I understand why. Because we're in a very strange time, and I really believe what's coming, I'm almost convinced what is coming we have never seen before, and we will never see again. And so it's really important. So I guess I was passionate last week because I have small children, and I want my children to grow up in a place that is still America. And I know, something happened to the Democratic Party. I mean, they did have some good points at one time, but they've fallen off the deep end and they've gone socialist and Marxist, and it's very, very, very bad. And so today we want to outline the policies of this Marxist socialist administration, because, listen, it's not name calling. The fact, everything I said last week were actually facts. And I know it sounds like aggressive and it hurt, but they were facts. And they can't do anything about that. Even this data we're going to present today, these are financial data facts, how this administration, who's for the middle class, who was looking out for the middle class, and how it impacted us. Do you realize, as we left off last week, Obamacare has destroyed health care for the middle class. I know my family personally in Michigan, they have their premiums double and triple, and their deductibles skyrocket to the point where it's useless. It's a Marxist wealth transfer. They're dividing us socially. God loves each and every one of us. He doesn't care about the color of your skin. You see, they're using the color of skin to divide. It's about your heart. And the heart between these candidates is so obvious. That Hillary is a liar in her heart. And it scares me for my children, that's all. Look at the financial data. This is what's happened in the last 7 years. Democrats were in total control of our financial system. They owned the House, they owned the Senate, and they owned the presidency. They could have done anything they wanted to do. And they passed Obamacare that has eroded the middle class, destroyed our manufacturing base and jobs. That's why literally 87% of all jobs created in the last 7 years have been part-time, mostly bartenders and waiters. We're really walking into it. Look at this first image. It's called Welfare is Booming, because this is what has really increased the most under the last 8 years of the Democratic control. The red line is total means tested welfare spending. We have seen an astronomical skyrocket of welfare since the 50s and 60s. Now, I want you to see it all the way back, because this is how our spending gauges way back in the day, and then how all of a sudden you see through the 70s and 60s, ever since we came off of, if you remember the chart I showed you about creation of wealth, when we were on the gold standard, we the people were wealthier. Our incomes were rising. When we came off the wealth standard, which is about in the middle of this chart, look at the red line skyrocket straight up. As soon as we come off the gold standard and started printing money, the rich have gotten richer and the poor have become poorer, and yet Democrats have had plenty of time to deal with this. Matter of fact, Republicans had, for that matter, too. That's kind of why I think I was partial to Donald Trump, because neither party likes him, and that's probably good for we the people.
Yeah, I'd say
But look at healthcare spending increasing. That's all a product of inflation. The destruction of our paper dollar and our buying power. That's why, Charles, you could take that off. Why I appreciate what you were saying, because we need to protect and preserve the kingdom.
Absolutely.
This wealth transfer that's already happened on our buying power, because this doesn't buy us what it used to.
Sure.
And because this doesn't buy us what it used to, because of the trillions we've printed, literally 10 trillion we've added to the debt under the last 8 years of Democratic control. More money added to the debt in the 8 years of Democratic control than all presidents in the history of the United States. So we better be serious about the midterm to long-term protection of the churches, assets, our individual retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, and currency, because what's getting ready to take place over time with the erosion of our buying power, we need to be protected from. This would be a good place to get started, get educated, and get prepared.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those of you who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you who have cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call our toll-free number or register on our website now.
Now, Terry leans over to me during the break and says, am I being nice? I said, you're being nicer. Now, listen, he gets so fervent about this. I do too. It's his program, though. I'm just here to help. And
hey, you made me do it.
No, I did. Oh, I made you do the program.
Yes.
I convinced you, I think, me and your wife and my wife. The people need to hear this. And we don't want you to be angry or frustrated about what's going on. We want you to know that you can, even in the middle of what might be a mess for everybody else, you can really be blessed in the middle of a mess.
That's right.
But you got to make right decisions. You know, we gave you information there at the break where you can call or log on. You know, some people don't feel kind of want to call because somebody will try to convince me. Just log on and get the information. Read the website. Look at the programs. There are all kinds of these programs are there on the website in the archives. And educate yourself. You say this over and over again. That's a key to us becoming successful, is to educate ourselves and then make preparation for yourself.
Yes.
Don't wait and let somebody else do it. Whatever you do, don't depend on the government to do it for you.
Because, you know, this is a tougher image, but this is a total U.S. debt versus a federal fund rate by presidents. And what's interesting to see is back when they came off the gold standard, where Nixon in the middle there in the red square, when we came off the gold standard, we shot up with interest rates initially because we started printing all this money and we had to slow it down. Ever since then, though, it has crossed over, and you could see where Clinton had a semi-flat line and Obama has had zero interest. Now, why is this important? Is under the Democrat rule, they're flatlined. And Obama has had zero interest, meaning those bonds, you can take this off, but those bonds are the country's value. And as I was saying, how they were laughing at the president, shaming him at the G20, they don't respect America and who we are anymore. Our bonds don't have any value.
You have to act like a leader to be treated like a leader.
Yes, and that's very true.
He's just kissing people's hands, as it were, even people that are doing evil. He's trying to be someone that is politically correct to make everyone love him. If you try to make everyone love you, nobody will love you eventually.
Well, and that's why, Charles, you know, I know my passion can leak out, but, you know, I've really learned that not everyone's going to like it, and not everyone's going to like my opinion, even though what I say happens to be true. And that's just the way it is. God gave me a very clear mandate of what needs to be done in this country and what part I need to take, and I'm just going to do it. I am passionate because I see the division, and I know it's all by Lucifer, and this is a spiritual warfare issue on our nation, on our nation's soul. So even when I said, you know, the blood is on your soul, it's because we in the kingdom have better take charge of our nation's destiny. God's not going to just do it for us. He gave us the Holy Spirit to give us the understanding. You know, so we need to get out and do this because our country is in serious trouble here. I mean, look at this next image. It goes back to basically into the 60s. And we can go full. You can see it starts on the left, 1970 technology crash. And then you could see there on the left, when it drops below that baseline, it's when we're in massive financial trouble. And you can see the stocks fall. 1990, the big 1987 market crash. Look where the 1987 stock market crash is, of wealth evaporation. That's in the middle there. Then the dot-com bust, and then the great financial crisis, they call it on the right, which really was a Great Depression. They just didn't want to tell you that. And then look where we're at right now today. They printed trillions, literally 10 trillion in debt, and printed trillions and trillions of fake dollars after the crisis, and we're back below the line, heading into territory we haven't even seen in 50 years. That is right now today,
Is
Charles.
there anything that they can do to prop that up? That would be my question.
No.
I mean, how long can that go on? Because
Good question, how long it can go on? My guess is maybe 3 to 6 months. Only I'm saying that is because it's already, as you see by that chart, we're already in financial territory in a depression era state that we haven't seen in 50 years.
are they going to be able to do something to cover this
Can't.
up to the average person?
They're covering it up now, but here's what's happening right now. Good question. Here's what's happening right now is the central banks around the world are the ones buying the stocks and the bonds right now.
So they're buying what's in the market,
Yes.
what's in the stock market.
Yes, they're artificially.
banks.
Yes, the central banks are artificially buying stocks and bonds to make you think everything's okay.
If they'd let me print money, I'd buy stocks.
See what I
and
mean,
bonds.
though? They're buying that stuff with fake printed money.
Exactly.
So the charts show we're entering Depression-era territories in a way we better be cautious of, because my guess is they're doing it for the election. Number one, they're doing it because Japan and Europe is already in negative interest rate territory, meaning the economies are collapsed, meaning they will start taxing you for holding onto your money. They need you to spend money. This is known as Keynesian economics. We need to ditch Keynesian economics. What we really need is some really super revolutionary people ditch the Keynesian economics and have a revolution in the financial system and bring in Austrian economics, which was saving and production.
That financial system, a lot of people might not know what you're talking about, but the only way it works, because they print money and just keep printing money, is that you have to use the money or the currency.
Oh, and they have to keep lending money and borrowing money.
It just has to keep changing hands. You have to. It has to keep moving through the system, or the system just falls apart. It collapses.
And you remember back a few weeks ago when we showed all the way back to the 70s how, actually way even beyond that, when we were on the gold standard, we the people wages were rising. And the 1% really weren't making a lot. Ever since they took us off the gold standard, we the people have been flatlining and declining, and the 1% have become super rich. What essentially happened is we the people have been hijacked literally by the banking system. And most of us are at the mercy of the banks now. We couldn't survive without the credit, and that's the tragedy. The only thing they can do now is nothing. They can't print any more money. Now, they could print maybe from the SDR, which I believe is the global currency. I think they're going to try that. But again, it'll be the 1% that'll continue to get wealthier. It will not help much of Main Street. So it's a tough time. Unfortunately, what I think needs to happen, the answer to Charles' question, I think we need to go through a hurt, a little bit anyway. It's called a cleansing. If we would have cleansed the house back in 2008 and allowed the banks to collapse that were needing to collapse, we would be better off today. Because we did not. And then they came up with utopic socialist programs like Obamacare. We are infinitely financially worse off today than we were in 2008. Credit is larger. Our debt is larger. Our deficits are worse. We're in some serious, serious trouble, and yet we're 10 trillion deeper in the hole. And that's kind of a problem for myself. We'll keep going this one too. I'm not going to pull out on this because I want to get into the silver market and show how that was.
It wasn't the government actually bailing out some of these companies that were collapsing because the company just wasn't being managed right, or wasn't doing well, or wasn't selling.
Yeah.
So the government, that is almost $20 trillion in debt right now, actually borrowed some more money because they don't have any, and actually loaned it to these companies that should have, in common sense, you and I would have gone out of business.
Right.
Because we were upside down. They were upside down. But yet, what kind of sense does that make? How long can that keep happening?
Sometimes it's national security, and I understand that. General Motors probably is, because they would produce tanks and planes and
Gotcha,
war.
okay.
But the problem in the bailout with General Motors, being from Detroit, I can attest to this. This was the huge problem. When they bailed out General Motors, they crushed mom and pop bondholders of General Motors. I tell you, this president astonishes me. I don't know if there's anything he's done that has actually been good. So much Luciferian, I can't even believe. But when they bailed out General Motors, they crushed those old people, retired folk, that bought General Motor bonds and was living off the income those bonds produced, because the bondholders got zero in that bailout. It's just tragic, the policies that they have done. Those are middle-class people that owned those bonds in General Motors when they bailed them out, got destroyed. Do you know the Teamsters Union? Detroit. Pension funds. The pension fund system's on the verge of collapse too. The Teamsters got a letter that they were going to be cut 60% of their pension. And the Treasury Department said it's not enough. That's what's going on behind the scenes. Now, we have to continue to go on this, because here's the problem. We have the biggest generation on the planet known as baby boomer. They're not buying anymore. They were the productive element of the last 40 years. They're no longer buying. They don't have the income like they were going to have, because now we have zero interest rates. Even if they raise it a quarter point, it's completely ridiculous. It's a setup, because it doesn't matter. They're not making any money. That generation not buying is going to cause the United States financial system to go into a deflationary decline at an epic proportion that'll last for a long time. Why? Most of the middle class, or not definitely middle class, but most of the middle generations and even the millennials, we're not making money anymore to meet our needs. We're just not. That's why we're teaming together in multiple incomes trying to survive. But look at this here, new homes versus 25 to 64-year-old population in America. 1986 to 2001 on the left, 2001 to 2016 in the middle, and here's the dark side. On the right side, 2016 for the next 15 years, because of the depletion of people earning money to buy things, especially homes, look at the projection on homes in the millions. Bad news, because they're not going to have the money, because they're retiring and they're going to downsize. They're not going to be buying up. So we have a big issue here. Now, we talk about protection and preservation of our assets. Look at this statistic on U.S. and Canadian silver mine supply versus investment deficit. The supply, 2001, is on the left. The green. We had a big supply, things were doing good. In 2001, mind you. Now, today, the blue is our 2015. Our demand has exploded for people who buy silver to protect and preserve their assets. The red is how much of a deficit we have. We don't even have the silver to provide those people that are investing. I'm trying to tell people we don't have supply anymore, Charles. We're running out. Why do we have it, they say? The next chart here, I'm not going to get to that, but I'll tell you why are we still having silver if we're so deficit? We're importing it.
Okay.
Look at this chart, though. This is U.S. and Canadian silver mine supply versus fabrication, because remember, silver is an industrial metal.
Absolutely.
Look at from 2001 on the left, demand of 177 million ounces to the 2015 demand of 300. We've doubled demand over this generation, and look at the deficit. 300 million ounce deficit because for industrial purposes. So when industrial needs more silver, those prices have to go higher to get you to sell yours.
Sure.
And this is the thing.
And the industry is the electronic industry uses a really
military solar systems, medical systems, it's everywhere. And so we are refiners. We're in the refining and minting of this silver. You see, we don't buy and sell coins at Cornerstone. We actually are in the refining where they take the product out of the ground and the recycled, turn it into actual little tiny pellets, and make the coin. They burn it down to the highest purity and then make the coins. We are the manufacturer. We are the people other dealers would come and buy a product from. We're only Judeo-Christian. We're 100% Christian nation. We know that. And we sell that coin for that anointing and the First Amendment protection of freedom of speech, because it's not bullion, it's hallmarked and it's First Amendment protected. Look at this image here. And this is why I know globally, Deutsche Bank, which is the largest bank in Germany, which runs Europe pretty much, is on the same trajectory as Lehman. And if everyone remembers, Lehman is the cause of the 2008 market system collapse. And look at where Deutsche Bank is. If I have to guess, Deutsche Bank is collapsing. Now, when people ask about silver and if we're in deficits, look at how many years we've been in deficit. Look at that. 12 years running, we consume more silver than we produce, and we recycle year over year over year. And then those people that are in, by the way, the futures market, this is why I know they're probably defaulting. On the left, COMEX inventories. On the right, private stocks, people holding it. The silver is in the private hands. The market system doesn't have any. They're going to default, my guess. I'm just going to encourage you folks. Election's coming up. And take this last image. Red. If taxpayers voted versus non-taxpayers, the electoral vote would be overwhelmingly Republican.
Wow.
When the non-tax paying people vote, that's what it was. So in 2012, 97 votes would have went towards the Democrat if only taxpayers could vote. Instead, 332 went to the Democrat. These elections are being turned by people who don't pay taxes. So keep in perspective, Christians, this is the time we need to take a stand. God bless you.
Hey, make sure you join us next week, same place, same time, for more of the Wealth Transfer. You can watch us online at wealthtransfernews.com. For Terry Sacka, my name is Charles Vance. We'll see you next week. Have a great week.
Are you concerned about the security of your financial future? Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you prepare for the extraordinary times ahead by protecting and preserving your assets through silver and gold. At Cornerstone, the protection and preservation of your investment is our first goal. So we are here to serve you with honesty, transparency, and respect. Take control of your future by registering on our website at cornerstoneassetmetals.com or call us toll-free at 888-747-3309. Call now, 888-747-3309. At Cornerstone, securing your future is our goal.